Rainbow Six Siege is one of those games where you'll hear insults that are so creative, you never could have believed that those words could be put together in the same phrase. And because of that, it's a community I'd like to protect. Which sucks, because it might be under attack soon, from every business's worst nightmare, OSHA. But don't worry, that's where I come in. As a master of committing OSHA violations, I'm here to ensure that OSHA won't find anything, because as much as I love safety, I hate getting fined more. Hi, my name is Caleb Tremor, and in this video I will describe every location-based OSHA violation found in all of the maps in Rainbow Six Siege. This means I'm only considering OSHA violations that are inherently an aspect of the map, ignoring OSHA violations that are the result of workers' actions, aka the player. I'm then going to order the maps on my brand new invention, the Danger Rope, from padded cell levels of worker safety all the way to this. But first, what is OSHA? To the average Joe, this is one of those acronyms that nobody actually knows what it means, and so people just make up their own meaning for it. To me, as someone who works in a factory, it's the office of stealing happiness away, because they keep telling me I can't make my makeshift tower to change a light bulb. Jimothy's death was not because of the tower, it's because he fell off of the tower. Completely different. Rest in peace, Jimothy. But its legal government name is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and its job is to create the standards of safety for working conditions, which makes it decently important. Without it, all blue-collar workers would probably have 17 types of cancer instead of the normal 3. It just gets a bad rap because OSHA is like the oldest sibling that acts like an extra parent. Like, I already gotta obey the will of the IRS and the government's laws. I don't want another person telling me I can't do something because I'm not legally allowed to operate heavy machinery following the incident. Gosh, nobody liked that statue anyways. For one thing that does suck for us though is that the OSHA standard writers were channeling the ghost of Alexander Hamilton, because why did they write so many regulations? There is quite literally thousands of pages worth of standards for every possible situation. But lucky for us, we only care about 1,691 pages of regulations across 3 books. 1910, General Industry, 1926, Construction, and 1915, Shipyards. There isn't a list of regulations for training grounds for military operations, so these are the closest things we have. And so it goes without saying that this whole video is under the assumption that OSHA has the authority over these maps. So either they're all recreations located in the United States has taken over the world, or OSHA has taken over the world. So pick whichever one fondles your chin hairs. Even after the great parsing, there is still so many standards. I printed the table of contents for these 3 categories, and it's 28 pages long. What? I like physical copies of things, and so when I was working on this video, I had all of them spread out across my room, and it made me look like I was a detective trying to crack the case of the serial nut flicker of downtown New York. But another good thing is that out of the 1,691 pages of regulations, we can narrow the number of regulations down to only 56, which is great. This was because we could remove standards that dealt with definitions, non-related standards, and personal safety. This does suck because just like Brian David Gilbert, I was really looking forward to 1926's subpart R, Steel Erection. Do I even have to explain myself? However, that's not the only goofy section. I want the record to show that because of the way that these regulations were written, every single one of them is horrible. Because most of them read out like this. 1910.2c. Employee means an employee of an employer who's employed in a business of his employer which affects commerce. You see what I mean? Anyways, out of the 56 violations that R6 maps violate, we can separate them into a few groups, just like Moses did with the Red Sea and a Beyblade. Look it up, it's canon. These groups are work area safety, elevated area safety and fall protection, emergency safety, and lastly, electrical and fire safety. And don't you worry, I'm going to explain all of them with the help of Baby Hands Mike. For work area safety, we have these violations, which all have to do with keeping your work area clean and sanitary, clear of debris, blockages, and walking hazards, as well as any violations concerning bathrooms, showers, and changing rooms, which surprisingly is a lot. Ubisoft, I have a question. Do you believe in bathrooms? Because there is a shockingly small amount of bathrooms in Rainbow Six Siege maps. Let's take Chalet for example. This massive, fancy, bougie house in the middle of the French mountains has 1 toilet. 1. Nighthaven Labs, a laboratory where people go to work, has no bathrooms. It's on an island. Do they just have to hold it until they get back to the mainland? I wonder if the scientists knew that before they got hired. So the pay is above average for the industry, and you'll receive dental, health, and life insurance. Wow, that sounds awesome. There has to be a catch, right? Yeah, you can't piss at work. Wait, what? Yeah, there's no toilets. I mean, if you really have to go, there's a ledge over there, but I wouldn't recommend it. There's a very snippy crab. Okay. You're yanking my chain, right? Yeah, we are. There's 2 crabs. For elevated area safety and fall protection, we have these violations, which all have to do with making sure you can't fall or drop something on someone's head. These include ensuring that every edge, manhole, or jest hole with a significant drop has a guardrail, wall of sorts, or toe guard to protect you from falling and objects near the edge from falling. Every set of stairs is enclosed, or at least has a guardrail, and also has handrails. Ladders have to be safe and have to have no slip rungs, and there isn't anything protruding that can impale you if you tripped and fell. All of your hoisting systems, I love that word, are safe and necessary. Like, tower doesn't technically need these rappels off the side, because if you fell, you would fall a really long time. Enough time to quickly pray to every god just to cover all your bases. For emergency safety, we have these violations, which are to prevent further issues when an emergency happens, like having a written and posted evacuation plan, which isn't present in any of the maps, or having a first aid kit, eye washing station, life vests, and ladders out of the water for if you fall in. They also include having all exits be clearly marked and having signs pointing to the nearest exit. This one is particularly bad because a lot of maps don't have exit signage, and if they do, they rarely have directions to the nearest exit, and even if they have that, it's not accurate. Look at Nighthaven Labs again. From this sign, it looks like the nearest exit is down the stairs, and you'd be right if you were blind in your left eye, because there's literally an exit around the corner. You can't make this stuff up. And lastly, for electrical and fire safety, this grouping includes violations that are made to prevent and contain electrical and fire issues, mainly ensuring that flammable things are away from things that are hot, frequently on fire, or can accelerate a fire, and making sure that electrical components are not going to electrocute you. My favorite part of this is internal combustion engines need to be away from combustible materials, so on Oregon, they decided the best place to put a can of gasoline was on top of a portable generator. These terrorists aren't the sharpest shivs in prison, but they make up for it with spunk and pizzazz. And explosives. And now is the time you've all been waiting for. The newest addition to Caleb Tremor's video devices. The safety line. So put on your hard hats, your steel-toed toes, and your nicest pair of jorts. And let's get started. For the sake of not boring you with saying the same violations over and over again, the majority of the violations are just these ones in differing amounts. Okay, one breath. Unprotected edges, unprotected stairs, no first aid kits, no eye washing stations, poor exit signage, ladders without slip resistant measures, no fire extinguishers, no tow guards, lack of gender separated toilets and just toilets in general, walking hazards, and leaks or electrical sparking. Let's go. And so during all of this, I'm going to focus more on the unique violations. Beginning with the safest map, we have Coastline with 9 violations. The only real issue is that Coastline is covered in glass shards. I know this is probably the aftermath of a party or something, but it's at the point where you start to think, are they eating glass? Maybe I'm just not a part of the elite glass eating community and I just don't understand, but I feel like OSHA violations are the least of their worries. We then have Villa with 11 violations, with the majority of them being stair related because they decided they were mostly rail-free household. Get your mind out of the gutter. Cafe has 15 violations, with the majority being tripping hazards on the stairs, with all of these wires just scattered about, but we do have our first ever violation of not having a ladder out of a body of water that has boats in it. If you fall into this section of the river, you're as cooked as the forgotten piece of food that gets dropped into the grill, because 1, you would have fallen into water that makes your nipples harder than diamonds, and 2, since there's no ladder, your life is at the mercy of a random Russian fellow named Dmitri. Outback has 16 violations, with 2 of them being fires that are just there, and 2 more of them being poor fire prevention techniques with this beautiful intelligent gasoline can location right above something that when on is constantly exploding tiny locations, and this wooden table that is right next to a grill. Fortress also has 16 violations, with the majority of them being unprotected edges or holes of some kind. This fortress is in dire need of repair. 6 of these stairs have no railings, and there's just a hole. It's not even one of the good holes, like the one I dumped my nuclear waste and car batteries in. For legal reasons, that was a joke. House also has 16 violations, with the main ones being tripping hazards across the ground, and more glass. Is there a glass boogeyman that just goes around dropping shattered glass to spook kids? Chalet has 17 violations, with a lot of ladders that go to balconies, and then those balconies having no edge protections at all, so you could just slip off and fall. And also more mysterious shards of glass. It also has this radio tower that should have a radio wave emitting warning, but it doesn't. Emerald Plains has 17 violations, with a lot of stairs with no railings, a forklift that has an elevated load for some reason, and then a lot of glass shards in the bathrooms. This could be because of a mirror, but still, this is mystery glass. Skyscraper has 21 violations, which similar to previous maps has a lot of stair violations, with 11, but it probably has my favorite fire extinguisher placement. Most fire extinguishers are at eye level and you can easily access them, but this one is just obnoxiously out of reach. Imagine not being able to put out a fire because you were too short. Theme Park has 22 violations with nothing really crazy. They do have a hole in the roof, but they're mainly just being good at being bad, at a lot of common violations. Bank has 23 violations and absolutely no toilets. It has a faulty elevator that has violations because you can get into the elevator shaft, but what really stood out to me in this map was this glass. First you're like, oh, it's the glass from broken plates or cups. Wrong. I broke plates and glasses and compared. They are different. Where is this glass coming from? Border has 28 violations with a lot of unprotected edges and missing stair railings. However, the most unique one is actually these concrete blocks with rebar extrusions, which are a violation, because if you trip, you suddenly are now One-Eyed Daryl, which is weird because your name is Steve. Clubhouse has 29 violations, mainly due to the outside and the roof, which are just two different horrible messes. The roof has absolutely no fall protection, and so that's bad, because we can't have everyone turn out like Gwen from Amazing Spider-Man 2. And the outside is covered in trash, broken windows, and random scrap lumber. Canal has 33 violations with a lot of missing railings, no radio wave emitting warning, and a lot of unsupporting edges, which is nothing special. Stadium Bravo has 35 violations, 25 of those were because of unsupported edges or lack of railings, which is kind of an unsupported edge if you think about it, but that's a lot. I mean, it is the entertainment industry, so they probably were trying to save a buck somehow. Tower has 37 violations, and almost all of them are tripping hazards or unsupported edges, with one of them being the tall rope systems violation we mentioned earlier. Nighthaven Labs has 38 violations, but only 2 really matter. There are absolutely no toilets, so prepare to dookie your johns for the sake of science, and this exit sign. I already mentioned it, but I love it so much. Oregon has 42 violations, with a lot of concrete steel extrusions in the construction site, an extremely unsafe excavator that is caving the ground it's laying on, and also placing the welding machine next to what I assume is pressurized welding gas. And then right next to it is a generator adjacent to a gasoline can. It's like they want something to explode. Stadium 2020 has 42 violations, with the only unique violation being a water leak onto an electrical generator that's causing sparks. I'm no electrician, but that doesn't seem good. Shocking, right? Lair has 52 violations with a severe lack of ladders and life rings next to water vessels, which is actually awesome because Lair has more shipyard OSHA violations than Canal, the shipyard, which is great for Canal. They're really keeping things under wraps. And lastly, our most dangerous map is Consulate, with 56 violations, with 5 steel protruding concrete, 20 leaks, 1 sparking object, and 2 lights dangling from their cords. This is great because now we have an excuse to avoid Consulate at all costs. Sadly, this list isn't complete because 5 of the 26 R6 maps aren't available for custom or training matches, so I couldn't investigate the potential OSHA violations. But even without them, Team Rainbow is a bit screwed in the pooch because they have 575 violations to take care of. Team Rainbow, I have one bit of advice. Please blow up Consulate. It is a safety and gaming menace. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed. One of these days I won't be lying when I say I'm going to be on time for my videos, but please expect my next video to be in about 2 weeks. And if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe and check out some of my other videos, like the one on the screen right now. And with that, I'll see you later.